at the same time, at the same place. You have to survive this nightmare to know the true end. Gamers and listeners, this is the MojoGaming podcast. This is Amy and Monty, and today we are talking about Resident Evil 2. But before that, I just want to say happy holidays and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everyone. It's been fun. I'm sure everybody has
I'm tired.
Yes, I'm sure everyone had a lovely holiday and are equally tired. So what was your favorite moment from Christmas?
Christmas. Not working.
Not working was nice. But other than playing video games, specifically Resident Evil 2, I don't feel like we got a whole lot done. And then my favorite moment, I went into, what was it, Dollar Tree? Family Dollar? I think it was one of those, to get some wrapping paper. And some lady was talking about how she was buying a bucket and as a Christmas gift, and she was like, I could put a 6-pack in here, right? And I'm like, yeah, you can put some ice in there and just like be room service. That could be your present to whoever you're giving it to. She's like, yeah, and then they can use the bucket. And I'm like,
Afterwards,
yeah. And I'm like, yep, this is Wisconsin. That was probably my favorite Christmas memory. I'll cherish it forever.
They're gonna put it on a calendar years from now.
Yep, this was the day that lady was like, 6-pack is better than an actual gift a couple weeks before Christmas. So I know we've been talking a lot about horror games lately. This one specifically we have a reason for. Resident Evil 2, the remake, will be coming out the end of this month on the 25th. The end of January. I'm so excited. So I really wanted to do both games and kind of compare them to see, like, what's the difference? Did they add anything new and exciting? Did they screw up the voice acting? Is the music still on point? Like, these are just things that I want to, like, I gotta do, because Resident Evil 2 is just one of those games that it's iconic, and anytime someone remakes an iconic game, you gotta try and compare them. I mean, that's
why I've been playing the new Smash ever since it came out.
Yep. That's,
exactly.
It's got all the classic Resident Evil 2 characters like Pikachu and the Ice Climbers. But anyway, we definitely plan on doing reviews of both, comparing them to see if there's what kind of differences there are. I know they've talked about like new costumes that aren't the original costumes, which is cool because honestly, of all the things you could transfer over into a new game, that's my least important thing. Tyrant has a hat. Or like a Western costume or something. I don't know if I like this because it totally takes the scary element out of it. But I'm not going to say...
What's more terrifying than a hat, though?
What's more terrifying than a guy in an overcoat and a hat? Unless you can knock it off his head. Then it's fun. But, yeah, that's not entirely scary to me. However, the new models, the character models for Leon and Claire look really awesome. The precinct looks really cool. And I think they added like a nursery or something. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what is new, what they've made better, bigger, what points they end up accentuating. Is this going to be like a Resident Evil, like the Resident Evil original, and then taking the Resident Evil GameCube one and adding all of the new elements to it? It was good. It was much harder, but it was good. I'm curious, like, how far they're going to go with Resident Evil 2. But I'm excited regardless, even if it is a pile of garbage, and we have to light it on fire afterwards to sacrifice to the Capcom gods. I still am super excited to play it. I'm always like this, like, even with all the Silent Hill remakes, anything after 4 was pretty much garbage, but I still bought every single one of them that I played them. Even though they sucked.
And also, coming from somebody who who had never played Resident Evil, never, watched a playthrough of Resident Evil, or even cared about Resident Evil until before, we started playing it, I'm actually excited for the remake because it looks so cool. And,
Yeah.
like, I know all these characters, and then, like, they made it, like, actually scary. So I'm, like, excited to see all that grisly action.
Me too! Alright, so let's talk cheat codes.
Known in Japan as Biohazard 2, fun fact, it's a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom and released for the PlayStation in 1998. I was 2 years old. Resident Evil 2 takes place 2 months after the events of the original Resident Evil game.
I was 8, because I was born in 90.
We were 28.
I'm so old. Now I'm gonna be 29 in a couple of months. I'm gonna die tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna watch you. No. Wow.
What?
I'm gonna watch you.
What?
I'll need some.
Okay, so Resident Evil 2 received praise for its atmosphere, setting, graphics, and audio, and it has appeared on several lists of the best games ever made. However, its controls, voice acting, inventory system, and puzzles garnered some criticism. It is the best-selling Resident Evil game for a single platform, selling 4.96 million copies on PlayStation. Development of Resident Evil 2 began 1 month after the completion of Resident Evil in early 1996. The first footage of the game was shown at the U-Jump Festival 96 in July. This early build, later dubbed Resident Evil 1.5, was produced by Shinji Mikami, differed drastically from the released version in its scenario, presentation, and gameplay mechanics. Same storyline, except Umbrella was closed down.
To keep the game scary, they introduced 2 new characters who lacked experience in terrifying situations, like me. Leon S. Kennedy, which is weird, because, I mean, being a police officer is pretty terrifying.
Wait, what does the S stand for?
Sugar tits.
No! Did you... Sugar tits?
Obviously.
Leon Sugar Tits Kennedy.
His mom made a decent living.
His dad hated him.
He was named after his mom. Okay. We're just as crazy as we sound, by the way. Leon S. Kennedy and Elza Walker, a college student and motorcycle rider vacationing in Raccoon City. Leon and Elza's stories didn't cross, and each playable character had 2 support partners instead of 1. Leon had help from Marvin Branagh, a fellow police officer, and Linda, who was a researcher, an early version of Ada. Elza had Sherry Birkin and a man named John, who would be known as Robert Kendo, the gun shop owner in Resident Evil 2, which we'll get to later.
The voiceovers by the all-Canadian cast of Resident Evil 2 were recorded before the actual cutscenes were completed, with each of the actors selected from a roster of 10 people per role. That's
Parole.
Parole. They were all on parole. Canadian parole. Ada's movie model couldn't be finished in time. She's the only main character not to appear in a pre-rendered cutscene. But those pre-rendered cutscenes are garbage. Let's just put that out on the table. So
Yeah.
she dodged a bullet, literally. The developers took inspiration from many things when creating the characters for Resident Evil 2. Leon was created based on one of the artist's bloodhounds, and Annette Birkin was created in Jodie Foster's image. Which is kind of cool when you think about it. I mean, she's
a scream queen.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah, pretty much, actually. Kind of. Yeah, Silence and Lambs.
Anyway, Resident Evil has a lot of depth and hidden scenarios in it, so we'll explain them in order as best we can. Disc 1 is Leon, and Disc 2 is Claire.
Yes, there are 4 main story scenarios you can play. Leon A and Claire A, and then Leon B and Claire B. So I actually went in the extra mile and did all 4 scenarios because...
Respect claps.
I'm crazy. So first we're going to start by talking about the A scenarios, and then after that... we're going to just talk about the differences. So we're not going to keep retelling the whole story over and over. We're just going to talk about what the story actually is first, talk about what's different in Claire A, and then we're going to talk about what's different from those 2 in Claire B and Leon B.
Perfect.
So, The difficulties you can choose from are easy, normal, and arrange mode. Arrange is literally the super simply rookie mode. They give you weapons with unlimited ammo, and you can't unlock hidden scenarios in arrange mode. So, it's like, if you don't know the game at all, you should go into it with that one because you're going to get the best, like, gameplay that you can. So, normal is what we chose, because, you know, I try to do a fair gameplay.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way I go too. Usually.
Right.
Because you want to, like, be challenged, but you also don't want to, like...
walk around and just, you know, punch a zombie to death.
Yep.
Like some kind of kung fu fighter.
Yeah. 2 months after the first events, a narrator briefly explains the first game to you. Basically, that a T-virus was created from Umbrella. By Umbrella.
Right.
Yeah. Leon enters the town in his cop car. A guy gets bit and complains about it. I would
like,
too, though.
Why'd that guy bite me?
I mean, who would just walk away from that? Leon stumbles around the town asking loudly that something feels wrong. This is weird.
What's this? Why are there no people?
Why is everyone biting everyone?
What's that music?
He bumps into Claire and caps his first zombies. They rush to his car and you find out that it's Leon's first day at work and it's going well. And they tried to speed to the police station, and you find out that Claire is trying to find her brother Chris from the first game. Mm-hmm. Leon drives like the elderly, the elderly gentleman that he is. He's not old, he just, drives like one. Leon shows Claire his gun collection in his glove box, like any normal guy.
Yep. And he's like, take one.
Zombie in the backseat disrupts their lovely conversation, and Leon starts swerving because at that same moment, the guy who got bit earlier was randomly driving a semi and heading straight for Leon in his crazy car. They both jump out right before they get hit from behind, and everything blows up, and they're split up conveniently. Mm-hmm. Leon and Claire agree to meet at the police station, and thus our story begins.
So, you start the game on one side of the wreckage on the streets of Raccoon City. There are literally zombies and fire everywhere. Although, this makes absolutely no sense that they are split up, as they could have easily walked around a block and met back up. So
right?
There's safety in numbers. There's safety in numbers,
but
people.
no good character in a horror movie or game ever thinks that. Or thinks in general.
Well, so the fun part about this is the more that I played it, the more that I noticed the things that didn't make sense in the game.
The more that I said the.
But anyway, yeah, the more that I played it, the more I was like, oh god, this game is so flawed.
But so beautiful.
Yes, so beautiful. So, if you are a ninja, and you make it to the precinct without picking up any items, and somehow manage to defeat Brad Vickers, who likes to hang out under the precinct, if you know what I mean, you will get the special key. Brad Vickers is a teammate from the first game. He is now a zombie. I went this route with my first playthrough, and this only applies to the A scenarios. If you get the key successfully in the A scenario, he will automatically appear in the B scenario, and then you can get the special key again.
The first person you run into is a very sweaty Robert Kendo and his gun shop. He has this beautiful huge window right in front of his shop, which is very smart for a gun shop.
Yeah.
He almost shoots you, but Leon convinces him that he is not a zombie. So he apologizes and finally locks his door.
Why didn't you do this?
Yeah, why didn't you do this originally? If you leave, all you hear is his screams of pain. However, if you pick up some of the items in his shop, he gets smothered to death by zombies who break through his wonderful window, and then you can take his bow gun. Also, he's kind of a creep, because in the Claire playthrough, he calls her babe and is, he's super nice to her.
Sorry, babe. I thought you were one of them zombies.
Yeah, versus he literally tries to kill you as a guy.
Either way, he deserves to die.
Yeah, he's kind of
He's a scum.
He's scum.
He's a scum.
He's a scum.
awesome. So, I died a lot to begin with, and I found along the way that Japan had to cut the "you died" ending because it was too graphic and gory. Believe me, for a PlayStation game, it's actually really relevant still. Like, that whenever you die, everything eats you, and it's like so bloody and gross.
Yeah, the worst part, or the worst one, is when the dogs kill you because they, like, grab you and start throwing you around by your neck.
Yeah. It's real
It's like,
sick. But it's really cool and really relevant, and I'm hoping they keep that with the new game, but who knows? They might end up toning it down because, you know, the censorship stuff is way worse today than it was back in the day.
True.
So, to kill Brad Vickers at the precinct, it took just about all of my bullets. But hey, I got a key, so that makes it worth it. Special key, woohoo!
Yay! You finally arrive at the police station after that, and you start running around it wondering why this police station is so gigantic and is probably bigger than the city hall.
Yeah, it's the biggest freaking police station. It's probably the only police station
And that's
within,
just...
like, 500 miles. Like,
that's just above ground, too. It's like, yeah, it's got layers, man.
oh, yeah, it's like Shrek. It's got layers. Onions have layers. So you stumble across a dying cop who looks a lot like Will Smith. He gives you a key card and a full explanation of what happened in the first game before showing you his gun and telling you to leave. You decide he may have a point and leave. As soon as you do, he somehow manages to get to the door and lock it.
And stay out!
Yeah, just like, dude, you're dying. How do you have the, like, energy to just be like, oh, he's gone. Like, bye. So down one of the many hallways you come across, down one of the many hallways, you find one of the hardest enemies in the game. Lickers!
They're so cool.
Up until now, you have had nothing but dumb zombies. Sure, they are annoying, but do they lick at you or jump halfway across the room just to one-shot you? No, they do not. You see the licker clicking and hissing on the ceiling, sorry. Okay, you see the licker clicking and hissing on the ceiling as blood drips from his mouth. He does a sick flip, and before you know it, he's in front of you, ready to fight. They take so many bullets, and if you have a large enough area, they are always a joy to avoid. Lickers are big, bloody, and veiny, almost like Venom, but not as put together.
They're easily my favorite monster.
They are so creepy. With the way that they're introduced is actually the creepiest part about them. It literally feels like a part out of a horror movie.
You're just like standing there, and all of a sudden you just hear this.
Yep, that's exactly what it sounds like.
And blood is just dripping. So creepy.
It is.
At some point, you come across a weird item that you have to make a sacrifice for. It makes no sense in a police station of all places. You literally set a picture of someone tied up on fire, and you get a ruby. What the hell kind of police station is this? Oh, here, yep. Well, you can get in there. You just need to get the door ruby behind the painting. Set it on fire first, then you'll be good.
What if I'm scared of fire?
It doesn't matter. Get the freaking ruby.
Do you want the key?
Do you want to get into the break room?
Do you want to get into the break room?
Here, do this puzzle.
So you then find a memo that says they were scared about the zombies, so they did the only sane thing and scattered the supplies everywhere. What the heck were these officers smoking? It's literally telling you why a random vase or shoe has bullets in it. But come on, what kind of cop is going to take the effort to do that? They don't even stop people who run red lights. Why are they scattering ammunitions around a precinct?
You never know, man. You never know.
So you find out that special key unlocks two different outfits. One is Leon in a tank top with his guns out, and the other we like to call Biker Leon. He has a black jacket with a skull on it and fire. He also holds his gun to the side like a real player.
Pew pew pew.
Pew, pew. Side shot. So you get to your very first actual save room. I consider a save room a room that actually has, like, the ambiance. Because technically there is, like, a save room right away in the beginning of the game, but it's kind of split apart. Like they like
They're
to
like
put
save areas.
save areas. Yeah, like they like to put a typewriter in one room and then a box in a different room. But I don't really consider that a room. I consider that two like separate save places.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the first game, I think. You save with a typewriter.
I don't know if they're going to keep that in the new game. In Resident Evil 7, I know they had the typewriter, but they didn't have the inventory box, I don't think.
Weird.
I could be wrong. It's been a while since I played Resident Evil 7, but I don't think that they kept one of those items. Either they had the box, but not the typewriter, or they had the typewriter, but not the box. It was, I mean, you know, you gotta update it to today's standards. I get it. But my favorite part about save rooms is the save music is always super comforting. And the first save room that you go into is the music that we played at the beginning of this video.
Exactly.
Not this video. Oh my god, this podcast.
It's still a video. Okay. You find another ruby doing a puzzle where you have to move 2 statues on a weighted spot. This puzzle is so elaborate it feels like only an evil genius would go through the trouble to make it.
Yeah, like it's, okay, there's these 2 statues, and then there's this, there's 3 statues. So there's one holding a ruby, and then 2 that are right next to it, and you literally just have to move the statues to a weighted platform. It's not hard, it's not, like, mind-bending at all, but, like, what moron is like, oh yeah, Jim,
Actually,
can you move the statue so I can get into our, bathroom?
The police chief.
I can't move them. I told you I have a back problem. This is so stupid. It's just
Yep.
So we find Chris's diary. He's Claire's brother, if you forgot. You find out Chris's boss doesn't believe him about Umbrella, even though he had Jill and Barry to back up his claims. He says that Umbrella is working on a G-virus and he has to go do something about it. So he leaves without telling anyone.
What a jerk.
That's one way to, do something about it. Claire pops in at that moment, so you give her Chris's journal and tell her you're sorry her bro left. They decide to keep going at it solo, which we all know is a wonderful idea in any horror scenario. He gives her a radio as a parting gift.
Mm-hmm. My favorite. A great jump scare happens when you pass a hallway you were already in, and hands pop through the wall to grab you. Ah!
Yeah, that part is actually creepy if you do not know it is coming.
It got me really good. Yep, there's a weird statue in the front entrance that you use a unicorn medal on, and a key for the precinct pops out of it. Why would anyone do this to their employees?
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, Bob, if you really gotta use
the facilities,
you need to find the unicorn medal. Now, I know Craig had it last, but I need you to find it so we can all take a crap.
Yep. It's like, we lost the unicorn medal.
Yeah. I'm really, really curious. If they have all of this stuff in the new game, I might actually be surprised, but I feel like they're going to do a more realistic take on all of this. So I'm really curious to see what they do.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll have actual doors.
Yeah, maybe they will have actual doors. Maybe they won't have doors. They'll just have a little, they'll just have, the door frame. And then they'll just be like, screw keys, right? Your face. You get to the library, which is actually pretty useless other than a puzzle that requires following a pattern and is so simple a newborn could do. You get either a plug or a stone depending on if you are Claire or Leon. Mm-hmm. Either way, you're stoned or you're plugged. So there is another hallway where you get your butt attacked by crows. They burst through all the windows at the same time. Like crows normally do.
Yeah, this game really jacked up the jump scale
it actually
compared to the first game.
Once again, pretty scary if you don't know it's coming. But it's just whoa, those are some really smart crows. Mm-hmm. These jacked up G-virus crows gotta do something with all this time. They attack you and can be pretty savage if you don't stay moving.
That's my rapper name, Savage Crow.
Savage Smash.
MCG virus.
Lemon Smash.
Yeah. Becky. Okay. You take the rubies and you put them in the boobies and you get another random precinct key. You literally have to just, put them into the, chests of these statues. Because that's how all police stations work. I assure you. Yep. I know very well.
I need to file a complaint. Well, you gotta find the rubies first and put them in some boobies, or I'm not talking to you.
Yep. Take it up with the statues.
Okay, I'm gonna head to a different precinct 300 miles away.
Good luck!
So, herbs. Red, green, and blue herbs and first aid spray are your health items in this game. Green herbs heal you a little, red herbs are useless unless mixed with green, which then heal you completely. Blue herbs are only to heal the poison status, and first aid spray heals you completely as well. The nice thing is you can mix as many herbs together as you want to make all sorts of weird concoctions. I wish I could be a fly on the wall as the character eats all of these herbs and chomps on a plant like Littlefoot from Land Before Time. Also, the way you can tell if you're dying is the stages your character goes through when injured. They grab their stomach when they are at the caution damage level, and at red caution or danger, they limp very, very slowly around.
And when they die, they fall to the ground.
When they die, they get eaten more.
They get eaten more.
It's, hey, look at he's about to die. Let's eat him more. That's a zombie talking, by the way. Will Smith appears once again, only to rapidly change into a zombie and proceed to kill you. It's actually, that part is really cool. Yeah, and the music's really intense too. But it's really cool because it's the first time you've ever actually seen a person in a video game up until this point literally change from human to zombie. And they did a really good job. He looks really creepy and like...
listless, but also terrifying.
Very pale.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually pretty terrifying the first time it happens.
It was like all the like blood drains from his face.
And of course, like we said, cue deadly music.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, you also find... it's very sad. You also find Leon's welcoming note to the precinct and how everyone can't wait to work with him. Guess that's not gonna happen.
So you run into your first set of dog enemies in the basement of the precinct, and holy hell are they annoying. They're the most aggressive next to the liquor, and trying to shoot them with some guns is almost impossible. Because they're so low to the ground, the bullets just go right past them.
Yep.
It's so stupid. Like, you have to wait till they're literally about to bite you in the butt before you can shoot them.
In the butt.
In the butt. You then have to turn the power on to get into the armory with a key card. Why, oh why, are these morons turning the power off in a room that is so essential during a zombie apocalypse? Why?
Why? This is where you meet up with this is where you meet up with sexy lady Ada Wong.
Oh.
She has this sultry voice and attitude to get pretty much anything she wants, and suckers Leon into helping her move a car. Ada's looking for a reporter named Ben. He may have some information on her boyfriend, John.
John.
All these creative male names.
Next we'll see Bob.
Billy Bob. Bobby Hill.
Bob Johnson. So you find Ben in a cell hiding from the zombies, because, you know, locking yourself in a barred room definitely makes sense, especially with these weird mutating monsters loose. He says he's not coming out and doesn't want to help because there's something big out there coming after them all. He then proceeds to tell them about the sewer. So sewer spiders are huge! They aren't really that big of a deal. Usually running past them is easy enough, but every now and again they get you and poison you by spitting at you or grabbing you and humping you. It's really gross.
Leon and Ada come to a dead end, and Leon shoves Ada into a vent to do some looking around. She doesn't find anything about her boyfriend, just a weird box puzzle and another precinct key, because, you know, who doesn't have 5 keys to 10 different doors? She whips that crap through the vent at you and then bounces.
The nice thing is, Ada doesn't have to do any of the hard work, like finding these damn keys. All she has to do is be cute.
Pretty much.
So the autopsy room has a wonderful jump scare where every zombie in it comes to life, except for, you know, the one that is the most likely to get up. There's literally one laying on a cot, and it's the only zombie that doesn't get up, and you're just like, wait,
you
what?
guys got this, I'm just gonna...
But in return, you get the armory key card, which is so kind of, you know, worth it. So the armory is convenient and gives you the option to share either a machine gun or a side pack with your B scenario counterpart. Or you can take both like I did. Eat my butt, Claire!
You finally, to get out of the police station, you have to do another strange puzzle involving fire, because why not? You light up a queen, king, and a jack to reveal a cogwheel, which is used in a weird room that reveals a chute that you get to slide down. Whee!
Yeah. It actually, like, slides you right back into the basement, where Ben gets fed a chest burster by a huge eyeball monster. How did the monster get in there? How did Ben's plan not work? It was foolproof! He couldn't... How could he get through the bars?
It was going so well.
Things are going so well until the monster mutated into my cell. Oh my god, that rhymed. I was not trying to do that. So you approach a now dying Ben, who gives you a letter about the police chief and how he's a huge degenerate who works with Umbrella. He then proceeds to die with when the baby bursts from his chest.
You adopt it and it becomes your sidekick. No, just kidding.
He's pretty cool. His name's Ginger.
Yeah, Ginger Rogers. No.
What?
I don't know. Your first boss. You are up against the first mutation of the eyeball. He kind of looks like a mutated sloth monster who throws up babies that are super annoying. After you put him down, you have an awkward puzzle with some plugs you found throughout the police station.
Well, the worst part about the babies that he throws up is that, like, they, like, are the worst part of the battle because you can't shoot, like, when they're, like, attacking your
They're,
head.
like, clinging
so you
to
have
you.
to, like, stop and, like, get them off. And you're like, get him off me, while this thing still approaches you very slowly. And you're just like, ooh.
I hate that.
The nice thing is, if you got any on you, if you go through the door, they go away. That's kind of nice.
Yep.
So, you arrive in the sewers just as Ada falls through the wall?
Falls through the wall.
Leon then proceeds to scream at her for leaving him for the third time, and she's finally like, alright, I'll hang out with you, jeez!
She's very reluctant.
So, Leon and Ada come across a blonde science lady who shoots at Leon as he tries to talk to her. Ada pushes him out of the way, but Leon still gets shot in the chest. Ada leaves Leon and runs after Science Lady and confronts her. We call her Science Lady because she's wearing a science coat. Science Lady's name is Annette Birkin, and she explains that William Birkin, her husband, invented the TNG virus and is now haunting everyone with his eyeball. Mm-hmm. He's also working for Umbrella, of course.
He's like, lick my eyeball.
Yes, he's a scientist for Umbrella and developed the virus. Umbrella mercenaries came to take the virus with them, but William said no, so they opened fire on him, and as William dies, he injects himself with the G-virus. Then proceeds to take out all of the mercs old school, and the rats eat the G-virus, and that's how everyone became zombies, I guess? Why aren't there mutated rats then? Also, how do they know it was specifically the rats? They definitely didn't have any time to research that before the apocalypse. Annette explains to Ada that William wants to produce and is trying to with no success. Ugh. Annette is not a very good villain, as she explains her whole evil plot as soon as she meets up with one human. Mm-hmm. Annette also tells Ada that John, the boyfriend, is dead. Yep. Cue sad music from my tiny violin.
How could this happen to me? I made my
If you
mistakes.
love me, let me go. Cue every emo song ever.
Alright. Ada and Annette struggle over a gun, and Ada knocks Annette off the platform into the sewer. Ada runs off deeper into the sewers and finds something in the water and screams.
It was probably her reflection.
Burn!
Burn! Leon wakes up and says he needs to find Ada, because, you know, Ada comes before being shot. He comes across Ada in a dumping zone for the sewer, right where she belongs, and calls to her as she shoots at the water. A huge crocodile pops out of the water and is coming to eat you. This crocodile is as big as the tunnel you're in, so there's no way around it.
You call that a crocodile? This is a crocodile.
So you do the only sane thing and release a canister of something, and as soon as the croc picks it up in its mouth, you shoot it and its entire head gets blown off. It's really satisfying. I actually assure you that it is. I love doing it. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, actually.
Very Jaws.
So Leon confronts Ada in pain from his bullet wound, and Ada patches him up. Ada says she found out John is dead, but says it's no big deal. She finally wants to escape with Leon. Let's play the beautiful music between Leon and Ada in this moment. this beautiful moment. Oh my god, it reminds me of the Titanic. Sorry. Try not to
What
laugh.
are feelings?
It's like Once more you open the door. Whatever it is. Touch my hole. What?
I have no idea.
That's right, you never seen Titanic. You're
Nope.
crazy.
Yep. I'm crazy. There's a weird waterfall door in the sewer. Who the hell pays for all this crap? Somehow putting the metals in place completely drains the sewers. That's not how drains work.
No, you can't just, like, put a coin in a slot and be like, oh, look, my toilet has completely drained.
I mean, unless you're, like those old, like, movies where they're, like, somebody, like, works on the, like, wiring and then they, like, connect everything to different places and then the sink, like, it catches fire. And
it's wacky, weird wiring land.
Right?
So you arrive at a small shuttle that takes you from the sewers to the factory. In the shuttle, a huge claw comes in from the ceiling and tries to touch your butt. I usually let Ada shoot at the arm until it goes away. Saves on bullets. And then the factory we get to, which the save music is probably my favorite in the entire game, so we're gonna let you guys listen to that too. It's so ominous, I love it. I don't know why, it just like puts you in the mood to kick some more zombie bung.
You're just like, my time has come.
I have been chosen.
You take a trip on a giant machine on your favorite rocket ship.
No.
Yeah, you take a trip on a giant machine elevator thing that goes down deeper into the factory. Ada gets shanked by a giant clod in the face.
She does.
Leon tells her to snap out of it, but she's clearly unconscious.
Snap out of it! Second boss, Thunder Cougar Falconbird William. He mutates once again into a giant falcon thing and comes at you while on the elevator machine. He is pretty tough, but strong ammo is always your best friend. You enter the machine and Ada wakes up and tells Leon, I should say, to leave her behind. She's too weak. Leon says he will never leave her behind, and they finally get to the bottom of the facility. You are now in Umbrella Laboratory. You bring Ada into a save room and tell her you will find some medicine to help.
But instead, you find your new best friend in the lab, Senor Flamethrower. Lickers are now mutated and are darker and have more claws, yay! You also find the naked zombies shambling about in their shame. Because the camera angles are so weird, you literally see everything, including their butt pimples.
And the camera angles, like all you see is butt. It's terrifying. Like, that's the worst part of
It's the best, yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna have naked zombies in the new one. Maybe they'll show.
They better. Or else it's no stars.
Like,
no stars for me.
No stars. Like everything else in this horrible place, you have to turn the power on in the lab. You then run into plant monsters, which look like a smaller version of Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
Feed me, Seymour!
They spit poison at you, and they are very afraid of Senor
Flamethrower.
Senor Flamethrower. There's also a giant moth boss. It is not even vaguely threatening, as long as you have Senor Flamethrower.
And a big fly swatter.
Yeah, all you need is a can of spray.
You meet up with Annette for the first time as Leon, and she's very upset that you're trying to kill her husband, the monster. She has the G-Virus and tells you that Ada doesn't care about you and she only wants the G-Virus, which is why she got so close to John in the first place. Leon don't believe that nonsense. The building rumbles and a pipe falls on Annette's head and knocks her out.
Oh, after this, the self-destruct has been initiated, and the wonderful alarm and blaring voice start up and tell you it's time to leave. You need to leave immediately! You take the G-Virus and skip to the exit. As you are about to head to the exit, Ada comes at you with her gun, saying she wants the G. You are like, but I thought we had something! Why did this happen to me? Annette appears and shoots Ada and sends her flying off the platform. Leon tries to grab her and pull her up, and Ada tells him to let her go and leave her behind. Leon says he won't do that, and Ada falls and lets go and falls. Leon is heartbroken and chucks the G-Virus off the platform like a moron. You find out later that Ada's gun has no bullets. She was bluffing the whole time. She wasn't really gonna kill her beloved Leon.
Her beloved Leon. You head to the emergency elevator to leave the lab and press the button to call the elevator to your floor. The 5-minute timer for the self-destruct starts, and of course William makes a surprise appearance from the ceiling. He then mutates into a dog form and starts jumping around the room like a maniac who's about to die. You take care of his pointy arse and leave through the elevator. Bye-bye, foamy bloody William.
Claire is calling you from the train and tells you to jump on. He gets on at the last second, right as the lab is about to explode. Leon is happy it is all over, but Claire still has to find her brother. He then backtracks and says, "You're right, this is just the beginning." He also says goodbye to Ada as the game fades to black. So, for Leon A, I got E rank. It took me about 5.5 hours for my first playthrough, and 20 saves. Not my best and proudest playthrough.
You did good.
So Claire A is the same storyline with these few exceptions. In the beginning of the game, Claire enters Raccoon City on a motorcycle and goes into a diner to order food, only there are no people, only zombies. This is where Leon and Claire meet up.
When using the special key as Claire, instead of unlocking 2 outfits, you unlock an awesome Daredevil biker outfit. Her jacket has a phoenix on the back, and you also get a Colt handgun that fires rapidly.
Yeah, and she actually gets cooler things, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Some items are in different places to keep the gameplay interesting in all 4 scenarios. And after you leave the area you got Chris's diary, you find a little girl being chased by a zombie. You follow her into the next room and meet up with Leon, who was also surprised to see a little girl at the police station. She ran away from both of them, but Claire says she's going to try to find the girl. Leon gives her the radio.
Instead of meeting up with Ada, you blow up a door in Claire's scenario that leads to Chief Brian Irons' office. His name... it was
Brian Irons.
Brian Irons.
Iron and Brian.
It was originally sealed off because a helicopter was embedded into it. Conveniently. He is hanging out at his desk when you approach him, and he has a dead woman on his desk, who's the mayor's daughter.
Hold on. Let's listen to this real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
He's the best voice actor in the whole game by far.
Are you Chief Irons?
Yep.
Yes, that's me. And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference. You'll end up just like all the others. That's the mayor's daughter. I was told to look after her, but I failed miserably. Just look at her. She was a true beauty.
Yeah, he is one of the most interesting and creepy characters in the game. This also begs the question, how did the chief leave his office until you blew a hole through the door?
You find Sherry hiding out in the dark room. She clearly does not want to be found, but once you explain you aren't a monster, she hugs you and tells you someone is after her. You hear a loud growl and she runs off. And Sherry is clearly the only one with any common sense.
Yeah, you hear an angry man monster, you leave.
I would.
So you meet back up with Sherry in the sewers, much like Leon does with Ada. Sherry says she thinks she heard her dad and says she wants to go find him. Claire tells her, "Don't you trust me?" And Sherry does the right thing and leaves because Sherry just met this bitch. She don't know her. Sherry is definitely more realistic. She doesn't climb well and it takes her longer because she isn't as tall as the other characters because she's a kid. You do the same puzzle as Ada and throw the key at Claire and say, "We'll meet back up later."
You return to Chief Iron's office because instead of plugs, you have stones that open up a secret room in his office. You meet back up with Sherry and you take the elevator down and we get a cutscene of the chief being fed a William baby chestburster. You confront with the chief in a weird torture room and he tells you he's a sicko who likes killing people and working for Umbrella. He says he regrets his work, but it's too late. A chestburster pops out of him and kills him dead. Honestly, this is exactly what he deserved. I mean, he was kind of a garbage person.
Yeah, you'll also find out that he wanted to hunt everybody down in that precinct, like, to kill them all, like one by one. This guy's sick.
Yeah.
He's so sick. He needs
messed up in the head.
He needs help. He needs
Meth.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Meth. No, definitely does not need meth. You head to the basement of the torture room, and Claire fights her first boss, which is the same boss Leon fights, Weird Sloth William. If you run too far away from Sherry, she gets scared and enters the fetal position until you slow down and find her. You enter the sewers, and Sherry gets sucked into a drain vent like all children do when they become 10.
What?
You now have to live your dreams through Sherry as she goes from vent to vent, trying to escape the one zombie she encounters. Sherry ends up at a big room full of garbage, and the floor falls from underneath her, and she is knocked unconscious. William appears next to her body, and you hear a bunch of really gross noises. It's like... Ew, why?
Nope. Annette meets up with Claire in the sewers after getting knocked off the platform by Ada. You find out that Sherry is Annette and William's child, and Annette told her to go to the police building instead of anywhere else for some weird-ass reason. She tells Claire the exact same story that she tells Ada about William. Annette also mentions that William lost all human emotions when he mutated, and that he can implant embryos. She also mentions that he will be looking for Sherry, as implanting her with an embryo is way more likely to work. Sherry screams, and you both split up to look for her before she gets...
Also, it's interesting that that Annette mentions that he lost all human, emotions, because it's actually not true. In Leon's playthrough, he, swipes at Ada to kill her. He never once does this to Sherry. And other than implanting her with an embryo, he never once tries to kill her or hurt her.
Maybe it's because he wanted her to be okay as, a host for his young?
It's possible, because, that's kind of what every animal, the reproduction cycle of every animal is like, do-do-do-do-do. And, animals will do it with their offspring if they get the inclination. But at the same time, he doesn't actually ever try to kill her. So he has to have, at some level, feelings for his daughter still.
True.
So it's just interesting that she's like, he has no feeling anymore. And it's like, well, yeah, not for you because you a hoe. But he still love his daughter. He still want to be a good dad. By impregnating So sick. This whole game, sick. I bet they're not going to have that part in the new game. So Claire finds Sherry passed out on a pile of garbage as a chestburster slithers away. The crocodile shows up to say, "What's up? What's up?" After the battle, you wake Sherry up and she says her stomach hurts. You both leave the sewers together and head to the factory.
When you get to the elevator machine, Sherry complains about her stomach hurting worse and passes out. Claire says she has to hurry before the embryos pupate.
Oh, my God. Did you do this to me? Oh, sorry about the puke. No, I'm just kidding. After the boss battle with Falcon, William, you take Sherry to the Umbrella Lab save room and you give Sherry your jacket. She wakes up and thanks you for the jacket. Sherry was lonely and had no one to rely upon, so she's happy to be doted on by Claire. Her family didn't pay attention to her, and Claire is going to look for an antidote. Annette meets up with you again, and is mad that you killed William. She has a sample of the G-virus. Claire tells Annette...
Sounds familiar.
Yes. Claire tells Annette that Sherry has been impregnated by William. Yuck! Annette is finally concerned about her child. William comes from the ceiling and slashes Annette for being a bad mother, and she hands Claire her recipe for the antigen before dying. It's a piece of cake to make an antigen. If you have the recipe, you gotta do the cooking by the book. You know you can't be lazy. For some reason, the G-virus is codenamed Devil? As if G-virus didn't sound ominous enough. Self-destruct alarm stones. Wee-woo, wee-woo, wee-woo.
Leon arrives onto the scene. Claire spies on him from her monitors. Claire tells Leon to take care of Sherry while you take care of loose ends.
So you have the same William battle while waiting for the elevator to arrive, and epic opera music plays, and it's really not that interesting. It sounds more interesting. I mean, it's just weird opera music. Leon is on the train calling for you when you trump on. Leon is on the train calling for you when you jump on last minute. Sherry gets yeeted to the ground during all the commotion, and Leon says that Sherry doesn't look good. And then Clary Claire says, I have the antidote if I give it to her. It sounds like she's not going to. It's so terrible.
What
and
a
then
bitch.
And then Sherry wakes up after an awkward pause where they don't think she's going to make it. She is perfectly fine now. Claire makes a weird comment about her god protecting Sherry. Her jacket says made in heaven. The god of jackets has no time for such tomfoolery. So we got for Claire a rank C. It took me about 4.5 hours and 5 saves.
Next, we'll go over the differences in the B scenarios. They are fairly similar to the A scenarios with these differences. The Leon B scenario. At the beginning of the game, you start at the back of the precinct instead of the streets. It's a way easier beginning than the A scenario.
Yeah, there's not nearly as many zombies, which is nice. The items are moved and rooms have to be searched differently. Monsters are all mixed around as well. The same monsters that you fought in the A scenarios are not going to be in the same places that you fought in the B scenario, which is cool. It keeps the game fresh and blah, 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 blah. So, shortly after arriving at the precinct, you find Paul Blart.
Paul
Blart.
Malk up.
Who is desperately trying to wave down a helicopter to get to safety. The helicopter won't land, and zombies eat Paul Blart as Paul Blart shoots the helicopter driver, and the helicopter flies straight into the precinct, taking Paul Blart with, which is how you find out the helicopter got there in the A scenarios. This is the part of the story that I did not need. It's funny, don't get me wrong, especially because the cop totally looks like Paul Blart.
You don't appreciate the Paul Blart cameo in Resident Evil 2? That's my favorite.
I do now. So you go to put out the helicopter fire, and as you're about to re-enter the precinct, you hear a helicopter fly overhead. It drops a canister into the precinct. When you enter the building, the roof crumbles apart so you can no longer go outside. You hear footsteps coming towards you. It's Tyrant! Or Mr. X, as some call him. He doesn't take many bullets to put down as long as you use the more powerful weapons. After he falls, you can take an item from him. He actually usually gives you some good stuff. I mean, Tyrant's, actually a good guy. As you leave the room, you get a wonderful cutscene of Tyrant getting back up. He ain't dead yet.
No, sugar. Leon runs into Sherry in a hallway after Claire sees her being chased by a zombie in A scenario. Leon chases her down the hallway, and she hides in a random door hole. Sherry drops a key for you.
When Ada goes in the vent for the first time, she runs into Sherry. Sherry runs off and drops her locket, and Ada picks it up and says she will hold on to it. It even shows her character wearing it, which is actually kind of cute. Mm-hmm. Claire radios Leon and tells him that she found Sherry and cleared the blockage by the helicopter.
You head over to do the Queen, King, and Jack puzzle, and when you go to pick up the cog, Tyrant busts through the wall and tries to murder you, by the way of a heart attack, of course, because it was like
It's scary.
It was a jump scare, yeah, and it just really nailed you. You leave the room, and as soon as you round the corner, he comes back to finish you off with a double heart attack.
Yeah, he busts through a wall.
Those are the worst.
Then proceeds to bust through another wall in front of you, and you're just like, oh crap.
Yeah, they were just like, yep,
this
is definitely gonna get everybody on the first playthrough.
It totally did. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I kind of knew when he was coming, but not exactly what point, so I was kind of like, oh, it's like, shoot.
Bam!
Bam! Bam!
Oh, yeah.
When meeting up with Ben, we noticed this time William did not try to implant a chest burster on him. In him.
Inside his body.
Inside of him. He just straight up tried to kill him. Leon keeps complaining that all of the women in his life won't listen to him. Poor Leon. How could this happen to Leon? He acts like he's a cop, but really he's annoying. So your first battle with William is actually pretty cool. He picks up a pipe and comes at you old school. William looks like a mutated version of himself instead of a dozen animals like in the A scenarios. I think this mutation is my favorite of all of his mutations because it literally looks the most realistic. You take him out and he commits derpicide by yeeting himself off of the platform. It's weird, yeah. Literally when he's done, he just like throws himself
off.
He's just like, I gotta go. I gotta, run some errands, make sure my daughter's okay,
When Annette and Ada met for the first time, when Annette and Ada meet for the first time, after Leon is shot, Annette sees Ada wearing Sherry's pendant and wants it back. They fight and Ada knocks Annette off the platform. Ada opens the pendant and finds the G-Virus sample inside. Surprise, surprise.
What family hides their samples of their viruses on their child?
Y'all know kids get into, stuff like that.
Next thing you know, Sherry's in the bathroom snorting some
Mom, I found this,
G-Virus.
pink candy. It's so good.
Little Sherry eyeball. In the factory save room, Ada mentions there must be something hiding here. You have to move the elevator back up to the top after your A counterpart took it down. As you grab the key, if you view the monitor next to the key, it will show you a lovely video of Tyrant taking a stroll towards you and crushing the camera as he comes to say hello. You must take him out once more. You use the key and get the elevator back up, and then proceed to take it down. Boss battle! This is what I like to call Spider Monkey William. He comes at you with 4 arms and holds them out like he's telling you to bring it! He's very fast and jumps everywhere. He's pretty awesome, actually. Once you defeat him, he jumps off, bleeding everywhere like a sore loser.
Mm-hmm. The elevator you are taking down stops halfway, and you tell Ada you'll be right back as you go to figure out how to get the elevator moving. Once you enter the new area, the elevator starts and leaves you behind.
Oh, you check to find Ada once you reach Umbrella Labs, and of course, she is nowhere to be found. You meet up with Annette on your way to turn the power on. You know, the usual. And she says, "You were trying to kill my monster husband!"
For the 3rd time.
She screams. Tyrant shows up behind Leon and Annette bounces, so you must take him out again.
In the power room, you're cornered by Tyrant, who tries to smash you. Ada shoots at him and gets his attention. He picks her up, and then she shoots him in the face as he throws her at... She shoots him in the face. He throws her at the power grid and is blinded, and falls into this convenient vat of lava below. Every science lab needs a vat of lava.
Yeah, what the hell kind of experience are they using with lava?
All the failed ones that need to die.
Oh, dang. So messed up.
Ada's dying, and the power grid looks like it's in rough shape, too. Leon and Ada share a heartfelt kiss and some awkward words, and then Ada dies.
Leon screams,
Ada! You get it. And then leaves. That's how Leon became Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Bat Leon. As you leave the power room, we get to see a cutscene of flaming Tyrant arm coming from the lava.
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Claire tells Leon to grab Sherry while she's tying up her loose ends. You head back to the Umbrella Lab save room and grab Sherry and bring her to the elevator and set her nicely on the floor so you can walk all over her. You arrive at the emergency train and set Sherry inside.
Mm-hmm. You grab 2 power plugs because, of course, you have to turn the power on so the emergency train will work.
You have to turn all the powers on everywhere.
You bring them over to the power grid and turn the power on as the power goes off. And as the power goes off, Flaming Tyrant appears. He looks... you said he looks super stupid. I mean, he just looks kind of like a roided out, flaming, mutated Wolverine to me.
Yeah.
Or like a mole rat.
I think he looks stupid.
Yeah. But he's incredibly quick and can kill you in just a few hits if you're not well stocked on health items. His claws are huge and he attacks much like Tyrant in the original Resident Evil. If you run around for about a minute, some shadowy figure will drop down a rocket launcher and tell you to use it. Leon says, "Ada, is that you?" You can see the locket on her, so I assume that's her. It's one of the game's, many inconsistencies.
Yeah. I think they did that on purpose, though.
Yeah, just to, have that little element of, ooh.
Ada ain't dead, so
She
they can
not
bring her back in the
dead.
sequels.
Right? Using the rocket launcher on Tyrant makes him explode into a million teeny tiny pieces.
He's Tyrant Pieces instead of Reese's Pieces.
Yep.
You start the train and Claire jumps on and gives Sherry the antidote. The train starts freaking out and it sounds like something else has entered the back of the train. You go and check on it and get a 2-minute warning that the train is now going to explode. A huge toothy butthole that is William's newest form enters the top of the train. I tried using the rocket I had left from the launcher, but sadly did not kill William in one hit. When you shoot him, his hole gets bloody.
Oh!
When he dies, he melts into a purple gross mess.
And you can hear it gooping.
Yeah,
it's so gross.
Your character actually backs up automatically, oh, what the hell kinda bull.
The train is about to explode, so they need to get to the emergency stop in front of the train. Leon goes over the main car while Sherry goes through the vent. Claire is forced to deal with William, who is suddenly alive again, for dramatic purposes. Leon tells Sherry to hit the big red button. What other button would it be? The train stops and they all get out. They stop in front of the train to ask each other if they're alright, even though the train is right about to explode. It's like, come on, guys. William tried to tentacle them, so they finally run through the tunnel as the train explodes. They make it out alright, and Leon says it's up to us to take out Umbrella. We then cut to credits, followed by a sick song with some sweet guitar solos.
Yes, the song is awesome. It's the best song in the game. I did say that I really liked the the save room song, but this one takes the cake. I want to make lyrics for this. Leon, just save the day. Leon, save the day. Leon, it wasn't clear. Leon, save the day. Okay, so we got rank C with that playthrough. It took 3 hours and 10 minutes and 3 saves. So, Claire B main differences. You hear a scream coming from the chief's office when you're in the helicopter hallway.
As Claire leaves the room where you get Chris's diary, you get a fax. Because it's 1998. You find out the chief's a horrible dude who apparently rapes and murders people?
Yeah, that note was so disturbing.
Yeah.
After you use the cog in the shoot room, you leave and Tyrant climbs up the side of the railing and comes at you. That part legitimately scared me because how did he climb that? That is like the tippiest, toopiest tower of the freaking precinct. That means that dude was probably scaling the entire side of the hall. It was just... I was just like, whoa.
Whoa.
When you confront Chief Irons in the torture room, you find out he really wants everyone to die. Chief Irons backs himself up towards the basement door, and a claw comes and takes him and makes Chief Kebabs out of his bung. When you try to go down to the basement, half of the chief flies back up to say, "Hoi!"
With like a big bite mark taken out of him?
Yep, only half of them.
Your first boss is the same William Leon fought in the first Leon B. Trust me, I'm as confused as you are right now. The mostly human-looking version who has a pipe. He commits a weird suicide at the end. There's a subtle difference in the mutations between Leon and Claire B, which proves that Claire ran into him first before Leon. He mutates in front of Claire, but not Leon, and I'm fairly certain when he falls in Claire B, he lands where Leon B fights him. You then have to run back and get Sherry to follow you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so we could just leave her there. That is where her mom told her to go.
That's true. Don't want her to get mad at us,
But
too.
yeah, I'm fairly certain that's true, and if I'm not, someone correct me, because I know everyone does. Correct people, I meant, not me specifically.
Amethyst, no, not everyone corrects you.
Claire struggles internally about William, but decides not to tell Sherry the truth about her dad being a monster. You run into Leon, who was shot by Annette. He tells you to find Ada. You run into Annette, who is wounded from falling after Ada knocks her down. You find out Sherry has a G-Virus sample. In the save room, I realized in the sewer, I apologize. I realized Leon and Claire have separate save rooms that are secretly connected, and you can actually go to each one depending on which scenario you're playing. I know. I was actually like, wait, what? It actually took me I want to say 2 or 3 playthroughs to figure that out, but it's actually really cool. They wanted their stories to be separate, but also connected, which is pretty cool.
Whoa. You ask Sherry for the G-Virus in the trolley, but she has no idea what you're talking about, because I'm just a kid! Sherry hides behind Claire when Claire is shooting and tries to hold Claire's hand. It's just like a really cute little mechanic.
In the monitor room, you meet back up with Annette. You show her on the monitor that Tyrant is cornering Sherry, and you both split to find Sherry. Tyrant punches the power grid as Claire has Sherry throw her the pendant, and then throws it into the lava, and Tyrant stupidly follows it and falls into lava, which is why Leon is dealing with Annette when the alarm goes off. Because Annette didn't run towards Sherry, she ran away. What a turd.
Of course.
Sherry finds her mom dead in the hall where Leon and Ada has the spat about the G-Virus, and who gets it in the divorce. She cries, but Claire tells her they have to keep moving.
Yep. Claire says, "You lose, big guy," as she takes out Tyrant, and it's really epic.
Yeah, it's actually pretty BA.
Yep.
Sherry makes a comment that she saw someone on TV do what she did once when she was stopping a train that was about to explode with her crazy sick-ass father on it. Claire needs to find her bro! And then the rad music we just played commences. We'll sing it for you. Rank D we got for Claire B. 6.5 hours. This was my second playthrough, as you can tell. And 26 saves. Woohoo!
Woo.
So after beating all 4 scenarios, it gives you this cute little cutscene that tells you how to get Brad Vickers to appear and get the special key, which I thought was actually really cool. I actually didn't even know that happened, so I was like, whoa.
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 Whoa. After you do all of that, you unlock Extreme Battles, or EX Battle.
Yep.
Which is pretty much an arcade mode for Resident Evil 2. Basically, it just wants you to find 4 bombs and use them to incinerate the virus just all around the precinct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a romp.
And then Hunk and Tofu. So to unlock them, which I did not do, you have to start a game under normal difficulty. You can't use any first aid sprays or special weapons, only handgun. No more than 3 saves, complete the game in under 3 hours, and do all of that in the A and B scenario. Not all 4 scenarios, just 2. I played as both of them when I was younger and had a Game Shark, and I thought, I don't have to relive it. But basically what you do in Hunk and Tofu is you are mercenaries for Umbrella, and you are supposed to deliver the G-Virus to Umbrella, but have to get through the entire precinct to give it to them. Hunk has a couple guns and some health items to begin with, and Tofu only has a knife. Every room has some kind of baddie stalking it, and it makes running through the rooms much more intense. And apparently Hunk is considered the 4th survivor, whereas Tofu is just the survivor. But yeah,
Tofu's my favorite.
Tofu is awesome. I recommend watching playthroughs on both of them, but Tofu's is much more interesting. As he is literally a brick of tofu.
And he makes like a squish, 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 squish sound when he walks instead of like the stomping.
And he's kind of like, hey, how you doing there? It's really weird. He makes like these really strange noises, although they both have the same voice.
Yeah.
When they're calling like Alpha Team, which is very strange.
It's the most manly brick of tofu I've ever seen.
But yeah, basically all you do is you run through random room after room with different bad guys stalking it, anywhere from zombies to lickers to tyrant. It could be literally be everything and anything.
Yep.
So let's talk about the pros and cons of the games. We'll start with the pros.
Auto aim works great. There were many times she aimed at a wall and hit a zombie instead. Woo!
Hey.
I know I'd appreciate that.
Hey, that's pretty good. So Belief cheese chooch. Belief cheese.
Belief cheese chooch.
Belief. Instead of Wiz Khalifa, it's Khalifa.
Was Khalifa chooch.
No. So Police Chief Irons is actually a very creepy, much-needed gem. His voice is amazing and totally kept me in the moment.
As you heard when we played it earlier.
I could have used actually a little bit more of him, but he died, so that's okay.
He got ripped in half.
Yep.
Killing zombies is really satisfying, especially when they try to eat your foot off and then you crush or kick their head.
The death in this game is pretty realistic. They writhe right before they die. And the different notes are interesting and tell you about the odd things that happen all throughout the game.
Ada shot a zombie that was mid-bite, and it was unexpected and not even something I thought could happen.
Yeah, like I was getting attacked and she went poop, and he went flying off of me, and I was like, whoa.
She went poop.
She pooped him right in the bung. When Ada gets cut by William's claw in the elevator machine thing, she has blood everywhere and actually looks wounded. It's pretty cool, actually. One of my favorite things is that when you hold down the run button and press on and off the walk button, it looks so wonderful and derpy. Try it out sometime and see what I mean. It looks like your character is having a spasm.
Yep. The bow gun in Resident Evil 2 is pretty badass. The damage it does is intense and knock bad guys back, which is what you need when fighting hungry zombies, especially in like a horde.
Yes. The controls and running in general is definitely not as infuriating as the first Resident Evil. You could tell they tried to make the controls better. An interesting thing I noticed about Resident Evil 2 is that the AI doesn't seem to run unless you run, so the more calm and slow approach you take to the enemies, the easier they are to kill.
Mm-hmm. One time when she died, the naked zombies ate her and then bent over her and made a human centipede. It was both funny and disturbing.
It was so disturbing. So now let's talk about the cons. So the door and stair animations take forever, and the load times are strange. I would literally be just, like, walking from one side of the room to the next, and it had to stop and, like, load. And I was like, whoa, that should not happen. I realize this is a very old game, but even back then, they had, like, seamless loading times, like, with games. Most of the puzzles are too easy. There's very little work you have to do, and most of them are just item grabbing and nothing else.
After the enemies die, they still move, which freaked me out a bit as I thought they were still alive.
Yeah.
A little misleading.
You can only carry 8 items unless you are lucky enough to get this side pack that adds an extra 2 slots. Woo! Camera angles are such crap sometimes, and it's easy to get murdered when you can't see in front of you, which is actually about 80% of the time.
Right? One of the lamest weapons in the game is the spark shot, which is not only hard for me to... It's not only hard for Amethyst to say 5 times in a row, it also doesn't deal much damage. It also sends you flying back whenever you use it. And it also, you forgot to mention, it takes up 2 inventory spaces.
Yeah, it does take up 2 inventory spaces.
For this, like, crappy weapon.
Yeah, for a crappy weapon. Mm-hmm. I thought it was strange that you didn't get the factory map until you left the factory. What good is it then? And some of the zombies feel like they were expertly placed instead of just being a zombie, like hiding behind things. What zombie is smart enough to actually hide?
Right?
Like, he's just like, I'm gonna hang out behind this door because you ain't gonna see me coming. So, Monty, who is your favorite character?
I really liked Leon. I know that's weird, but, like, he did so good for his first day at work. I mean, and, like, I
did
thought
good on my first day.
I always think that my first days at, like, jobs, like, could have gone so much better, but it's like, he handled himself like a pro.
He did.
Yep.
My favorite character would definitely be Chief Brian Irons. And the only reason I say that is because... Obviously,
he's delicious.
Well, ew. No, he's not delicious. He's a big fat dude.
Only if you're William.
Yeah, okay, maybe
That's
if you're
what I meant.
But even he was like, I ain't eating that.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess he probably ripped him in half. He probably didn't eat him, but
he was
still.
like, bleh.
Exactly. No. He sniffs him. But anyway, my favorite, William is the bad guy, yes. But William doesn't actually have any speaking parts. So he
just
doesn't...
goes, Mah!
He's just literally a gigantic monster. So it was literally the creepy bad guy that we needed to counter Annette's kind of just being there. So, like, he was just the perfect amount of creepy. And, like, the bad guy, he was literally the Wesker of Resident Evil 2. And I really appreciated that. Because it's something that the game really needed. So what was your favorite part, Monty? Let's just go through all the emotions.
My favorite part was probably... Wait, my favorite part in the game or favorite thing that happened?
Either.
Is the random, like, human centipede thing that happened. Like, it probably has never happened in any other time anyone has ever played Resident Evil. It was just like, no. But, yeah, it's a great game overall. Like, all the parts are pretty great.
I think my favorite part in this game, oh man, you're right, it is really hard to pick a favorite part.
My favorite jump scare was definitely the one where Tyrant bursts through the wall twice.
That part is great.
Because they were like, literally, this is going to get everybody.
But I think my favorite part of the game is the ambiance. I think it's just something that, like, the game did so well. Like, compared to everything else, the ambiance is something that kept me totally integrated into the game. And it totally kept me excited and wanting to keep going through every freaking scenario. Even though I'd heard the music a couple hundred times, I still was like, let's keep doing this. This music's got me pumped! So yeah, that's probably my favorite part. Mm-hmm. So, would you recommend children to play this, Monty?
Not very young children, but I can understand if, like, your parents played it and then you're like, oh, this is cool, I want to try it. Yeah, and you're a teenager or something.
If you introduce it to your child at a reasonable age, like, probably anybody over 12, 13 could play this and not be completely mortified. But it is rated M. It has violence, blood, and gore in it. It has sexual undertones, especially the parts with William and his daughter. And the scary jump scares are actually still very relevant today.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is your review of the game, Auntie?
Definitely, like, an 8 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah. For sure.
That's pretty good for you.
I really enjoyed it. Compared to the first one, it was a lot more polished and it made more sense. And, like, there was more stuff going on. And it was scarier in a weird way. I
actually wasn't sure what you were going to give it, so I'm actually really impressed that you gave it an 8 out of 10.
I felt engaged the whole time, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
I know there were sometimes Monty, because she falls asleep sometimes, there were like parts where the game would like do the jump scares and she'd wake up like, what?
What the heck? Yeah, so that's just,
She was like, shut the hell your mouth!
It's fun to watch, and it's probably even more fun to play, so that's... Yeah.
Nah, not if you don't like the controls.
Well, yeah. If you get the controls like Amethyst, then yeah. But I would just be like.
Okay, so my review. I played through all 4 scenarios, and then I kind of messed around with the X battle, and I was just like, okay, this is dumb. But anyway, I will give this game a 10 out of 10. And the reason that I say that is because it is one of my top favorite games, yes. So I have some kind of nostalgia and all that fun stuff with it, but it is just like... There are flaws, but all in all, it is a perfect title for its era. It is one of the first of its kind of like we talked with original Resident Evil, but it takes that and, like, it makes it way better, which is something that doesn't always happen with sequels, which is why it gets such a good review from me, because it is the most epic of all of the Resident Evils.
Right.
Although, I do really love Resident Evil Code Veronica. Don't shame me. So many people don't like that game, but I really like it. But anyway, that was our review, and we hope you liked listening to us. Feel free to check us out on Facebook at MojoGaming Podcast. You can check out Monty on Twitter.
Monty Rex with 2 X's.
And I am Mojo Amy. Feel free to email us at mojogamingpodcast@gmail.com. And follow us on Twitter.
Follow us. Do it!
Alright, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and thank you for your support. We appreciate all of you. And please, stay away from any G-virus you see from rats on the streets.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. Let me go find the bathroom, Ruby.